Well, in this section, guys, I want to talk about ads. If you remember, we discussed the structure from top to bottom: account, campaign, ad group, keywords, and ads. We've talked about all these topics together. And now we've reached ads. I want to talk about the structure of the ads themselves, discuss their types, how they look, how we should enter data, and so on. All right? Now, guys, previously, in the search ad discussion, we had two types of ads. One was the expanded text ad, and the other was the responsive search ad, or responsive text ad. Sometimes in abbreviations, you might see RSA. It's not something you need to extract a key point from. It's not important. I just mentioned it so you become familiar with it. Now, these two types of ads, guys, from the customer's side, meaning what the customer wants to see during their search, practically, don't have any differences. So where do they differ when we wanted to enter data into Google's dashboard as advertisers? Well, the point here is, guys, pay attention. Practically, if I'm not mistaken, we no longer have expanded text ads in Google's history since June 2022, and you can't use them anymore. Sir, we used to have them, so what happens to them? Or do we even encounter such a thing in the dashboard anymore? Take a minute to look at the screen. Pay close attention, guys. Now let's move on. We used to have them. What differences do they have with each other in terms of status? But for now, just look. Guys, this is a responsive text ad, which you can see doesn't even give me the edit icon anymore. And I can't create anything called expand text ad here. I only have the responsive text ad now. And you can see the edit icon next to it, but you can't edit it. So what's happening, guys? They work, but it doesn't mean they go to this. They work, but you don't have the ability to edit them. Now, when Google decides that you can work with it or completely remove it from circulation, that's up to them. But I want to tell you here, guys, so you can recognize what the expanded text ad looked like. It's data entry and what we used to do with it. And guys, expanded text ad and responsive text. As I have shown you here in the slide, the difference was in the number of headlines and descriptions that we could enter. Well, you see here it gave you 3 headlines with 30 characters each and 2 descriptions with 90 characters, but responsive gives you 15 and 4. But there's a point I want to tell you, and I emphasize again, reviewing what I said a few seconds ago. The side of the user and what the user sees as a preview do not differ from each other. What does that mean? Guys, please write down what the user sees. Guys, the display post of yours upon its entry, meaning when it's entered, because there are options. Well, what happens? I'll tell you. One sees the display post, which is shown up here, with a maximum of 3 and a minimum of 2 headlines visible. So they see 2, 3 headlines. If we hit this, 15 here in responsive, okay, I'll tell you how it happens. I also want to tell you the minimum and maximum number of descriptions. They see 1, 2 descriptions. So I'll repeat. Again, they see your display post and they see 2, 3 headlines. They see 1, 2 descriptions. Guys, we have different fields in Google for entering these. Now let's go together to the dashboard and see. It gives us different fields on the dashboard. You see it says 0 out of 15, 0 out of 4. Well, this is an image of the dashboard, guys. You are exactly seeing it. Okay. Now, the expanded text ad didn't have the capability for you to move things around like your dynamic headline, to choose from a set of dynamic headlines that you've entered and create different combinations from them, so to speak. It's a permutation, right? It says it wants to choose a maximum of 3 out of 15. See how many types of ads it can have. Well, it makes the decision itself on which ones to choose and display for its performance. I'll explain what this is later on, but in the expanded version, this capability didn't exist. You would fill in 3 headlines, 2 descriptions, and it would display just that. You would create 2 or 3 expanded text ads in your ad groups. Remember, I said you would write several ads in your ad groups. Now let's look at what happens. Guys, the character limit for each headline is 30 characters. A character means every time you press a key on your keyboard, whether it's a space or anything else, it's considered a character. Each character in every headline and description has a maximum of 90 characters. So when writing ads, pay close attention to this. Each display post also allows you to write a maximum of 2 display posts, whether it's the old expanded or the new responsive, which is now only responsive. It gives you a maximum of 2, 15 each, and always displays them. All right, and guys, I've included a section here called ad extensions, which I will cover in the next video. What are ad extensions? Well, they are additions to your ad creation. Let's go to the dashboard. Guys, when you want to create responsive search ads, you'll see ad extensions in the ads section. Well, guys, even if I add ad extensions at the campaign level and click plus, it will ask me to specify which ad group I want to add them to. Pay attention, guys. Our ads are set within each ad group. Now, take a look. For example, when I go into the ad group Nach Goluzi and click plus, I create a responsive search ad. You see, right? Now I move on to the strategy. You see, guys, this is the same image I showed you over there. Guys, don't forget, in your ads, what the user's behavior was. They would perform a search, one would become the base, an ad would be displayed. And then what would happen? They might click, right? When they click, they are directed somewhere, correct? It requires a final URL from you. Guys, pay attention to the final URL. The final point, meaning the URL, is the last point where the user lands. Let me flashback. I told you that you shouldn't actually use redirects. I mentioned redirects and what kind of dishonesty it takes from it. Here, that final URL became a bit more tangible. I need to set the URL of my final page. Guys, a point I should mention is to please use SSL and HTTPS. When you see it, it's actually your SSL license. Use SSL and place that address exactly. Guys, this becomes the final URL of the page that the user actually clicks on. It finally reaches a state of calm and lands me on that page. Well, that's the actual URL of the page. So in reality, you shouldn't place the shortened URL here. Why? Because it's not the final URL yet. A redirect is happening. Remember, I mentioned that if you have an IR domain and you park it, do it without a redirect. Why? To ensure that dishonesty doesn't occur. This is exactly the topic. I'll discuss with you more here. The final URL is important for us. Okay, so everything revolves around the final URL. Pay attention, everyone. My URL consists of my domain plus a URI. Well, from my domain to a URI is formed. Kids, look here. On the right side, you see it shows your domain, yes, in 2 parts. And what are these 2 parts? Exactly, the 2 display paths. So, did you see? Exactly, the display paths. Kids, what are the display paths? It holds your domain and puts a cover over the rest of your URL. In fact, from your domain onwards, it covers your URL. And what does it say? It says, sir, I give you 2 opportunities with 15 characters each to write this yourself. Guys, it's enough to base the URL. I say it like this when I know I'm writing within an ad group that has a consistent theme of words that must be in the ad. I write something. that gives the user a sense of ease and trust, making them feel that the place they are landing is the right one. I might have anything at the end, like 12, 13, 64 or something like that, or even some specific English encoding. Well, with this, I can practically make the cable that is being used feel more precise. And it also gives the user the confidence that they are going to the right place. Now, if we don't write this, what happens? Look. Look, kids, it just shows your same domain again. Sir, if you click on this ad, where does it go? It goes back to the same final URL. It doesn't matter. You practically didn't use those two phrases you wanted to write. Well, let's go down further with the structure. In fact, I'm talking about the LAC kits. It takes a maximum of 15 headlines from you. It's responsive, so at least writing 3 of them is required. You see, look, 3 of them are required. Well, and we definitely have to write the exact minimum of it, Mr. Sir, what happens if I don't write your return? Kids, pay attention. Up here it gives you a certain strength, which actually determines the power of your number. If you write this less, it will actually cause the power of your number to go down. Sir, it's important. I'm not saying it's not important, but it is to some extent. Well, and also pay attention. Kids, also a series of hints are being given to you. It says add more headlines, include popular keywords in your headline. Well, what does that mean? It means using your keywords in your ads. Kids, you'll learn later that this should actually make your score and your ranking go higher, and you can perform better. Well, but sir, do I have to include all my keywords in the headline? No. Some headlines might not have any keywords at all. Just a call to action like, contact us today. Well, book an appointment today, buy today, or any other similar phrases might not contain a keyword. Okay, kids, it's not a divine revelation. It's guiding you. All right. Make your headlines more unique. What does that mean, kids? It means don't make your headlines repetitive. You can relate this to the word or sentence. I mentioned earlier, kids, when you keep repeating your words, it diminishes the uniqueness. Well, yes, my friend, I might not include the keyword at all. It's my choice. And I'm saying, sir, make your descriptions unique as well. You can write a maximum of 4 descriptions, some of which are required. This is also a question on your exam. 2 of them are required. You must write at least 2 descriptions. But write 4, and to help the kids, there's a section here that says View Ideas. When you click on this, it shows you what things you can actually write. It says you have entered the maximum number of headlines. To add a headline, remove an existing one. Which is this? Call to action phrases are shown in English. Yes, it shows them. Or hit the call to action in the ad, okay? What other things, for example, could be there to give you insight? It says, oh, if you have promotion phrases, add them. By phrases, it doesn't mean random things. Add items that build trust with the user, like official site, exceptional services, quality products, and so on. Guarantee the lowest price, and so on. Again, this is to give you insight about your inventory, about the things you have. Talk about your location, for example. How you can have a presence in different cities. Discuss how you can handle your delivery. Guys, you can see. I've put it on the head-on ideas. It even suggests which keywords to use. This is not bad, shaded to give you some perspective. Make sure to make your headlines unique. Again, it's about making your descriptions unique. Guys, you can see it gives you an idea. Now, it might be that, for example, this is currently going with the best keyboard. It might be picking up from other sources as well. And ultimately, this idea helps you to do this. Guys, you see this pin icon. When you click on the pin, first of all, you can set the set. You can pin it. It recommends saying, sir, this person is showing only in position 1, just show it in position 1. Well, why this headline looks like this, for example, why it's written in brackets, I'll talk about that with you later. Guys, when you're coding, you learn what help this keyword insertion provides and so on. We'll talk about it later. Sir, if I pin it, you see, you consider 2 in 1 pin. Kids, not filling the space down meetup doesn't mean that it will only be displayed there. No, on the contrary. It means that this term, what is written here, it can only be displayed in 1 headline. Meaning my recommendation is that it should definitely be displayed in 1. But it doesn't mean that the rest can't be displayed in 1. On the contrary, if we look at it, well, this term is creating limitations. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it this? Is it that? Well, sometimes look. It's very interesting. Sometimes when I even took this from the pin. This ad extension was created. That's why I said it's good. But now, don't look at it too precisely. Well, if I pin this next to it, it became a good position. Okay? I have no problem with it. Here, it's open for me to write again. Embroidery thread. Okay? And here, guys, it shows a preview. You see, the preview is being displayed. I have this for it. This face that you see, sir, what are these? These are ad extensions, which I'll explain to you later. What is this picture? Guys, this is also an ad extension, which I'll explain to you later. Okay. What are these blue ones at the top? These are the same headliners that you talk about. Do you see the header is changing? In the model of hands or mobile, guys, what you have down here, it shows this much. It displays ad extensions, which I'll talk about with you. Just let me tell you this point. Guys, ad extensions might not display with your ad. What does it depend on? We'll talk about it later. Just write it down. It's not necessary that every extension you add will definitely display the stone. Okay? And you see 2 models here. The highlighted ad says when I highlight it, the ones that become faint, and these ones below. You see, it indicates that these are extensions. Okay, but this issue isn't very important to me. However, guys, you can see different previews. You see it's changing. Let me flash back, guys. What's the maximum number of headlines displayed? It gives between 2 to 9.5. So out of these 15 headlines that I have, I'm actually letting Google know that you can display these headlines. It picks from these and keeps showing different combinations, or better said, different bundles. How does the story go? Look, guys, you see these are the different combinations that Google has displayed. Well, this is, for example, for home service ads that are also with our own collection. It's advertisement. Well, it shows different combinations saying this much is its impression. Actually, from that impression, 54,073 times, for example, when I'm looking at it, 8,000 of them were like this, 3,000 were like that. Google itself decides to show more or less of a certain one. It says, sir, we had better performance with this. Performance at this point doesn't actually mean conversion. It has to the point where it is watching, it is doing better. Be a better user. It has become better, the keyboard in it, and so on and so forth. This is causing a problem by itself, so this edit can also be helpful. So that we can improve our content, which I will talk about in the discussion on bias. Guys, each of these headlines that we talked about now, or the descriptions that we saw here, or remember when we talked about assets earlier, each of these is seen as an asset, which we can manage in the dashboard. We can go and take a look. I will search for it now. Each of these numbers that we see here, in fact, these items, well, these headlines are seen by a site. So we have found a perspective on this site discussion together. That these sites that we are actually entering, we can see them later. You see? It's saying, sir, this is a site, its status is approved, and it may be disapproved, or it might say we might reject a policy for Google, or it's under review. They are reviewing it. These are headlines, and descriptions. Here, site type, description, description, headline, 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 and so on. Position, pinning. This is the same pinning I talked about. And based on performance, based on this combination that I mentioned, it comes and tells you, sir, the performance has been good, best, good, etc. Machine learning is learning whether this is good or not, and let it understand what's happening. Based on this, you can go and edit your headlines later. This is something I will talk about in full detail regarding benchmarking together. I wanted to give you this overall view regarding persistence and structure, which I mentioned that the Iran file definitely has. It shouldn't be purchased or reviewed together, in fact, from that final. And overall domain, it definitely shows. Well, according to your choice, two 15-carat ones named Distal Press allow you to actually load it in so that the user has a better experience from the content they are eagerly waiting for, after the overview. On the other hand, it takes 15 headlines from you, of which a maximum of 2 to 3 are displayed as chosen by Google itself. We can recommend to it, but it is not supposed to show. Only that at that point, it takes 4 descriptions from you, each with a maximum of 90 characters. Out of these, it shows a maximum of 1 to 2 to the user. Alongside these, we will also have extensions that help you occupy more space for yourself, increase the likelihood of clicks, and on the other hand, assist in having your link selected in the search results. To attract more attention from your users, you don't have to get lost in that terrible noise. You need to have a shining presence to get more clicks. Guys, getting better and more clicks doesn't necessarily mean paying more per click or placing higher bids. No, what I'm telling you should resonate somewhere in your mind that optimization is the issue here. Don't forget this matter. Simply spending more money is not the criterion, and we need to gradually, slowly, with the time we have, discuss this in relation to sites and even strategies. We are talking about it to find some insights that will help us use them in the future. Guys, please don't just watch this point. Write everything down so that we can refer back to it later and remember what we used. We need to become proficient with them. Let's take advantage of this issue to create better results. Let me tell you right here, Google tends to favor those who use ad extensions more, and there's a chance that your display will improve. Naturally, if you allocate more space to yourself, the likelihood of getting clicks increases, or so much so. Naturally, I'll give you more details about the example I just mentioned, and actually explain more about the ad extensions themselves. In fact, we'll talk about it in detail in the next video as well. So, you've become familiar with the structure and strategy of responsive search. And the point was that we no longer have an explanation, and it's also editable. It doesn't have any issues, sir. It's become a blessing, and it doesn't have much of a problem. We'll fix this, move forward with responsive search, and it will help you with your SEO so that we can make better edits and ultimately have more impressive and better advertisements. I'll see you in the next video.